All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Brooklyn Boxing Podcast. I am joined by Peter Quillin. Welcome to the show.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, former world champ. Love to have you on and talk a little bit about your story and journey. I guess first things first, you being a middleweight, I'd love to just hear kind of your general impression over the last recent fight with the Charlo brothers at middleweight. Seeing that's kind of topical news, kind of get your perspective and thoughts on, Jamal's performance.
I like the guys, they elevating in their growth as being boxers. They're going to be solidified in the sport. You know, it's a perfect time for like black guys like them to be able to showcase their talent and be able to put a good story out there. So I like the story. They're twins. You know, I think they're the first set of twins that actually win world titles. So for me, it's like their story is being built, and I have nothing but good things to say. I got both their numbers in my phone. They're good people, good brothers, and they're lions.
Yeah, it's cool to see them, right? I mean, I think you're right that they are the first twins. A lot of people are kind of comparing them in some ways to the Klitschko's. Obviously, the Klitschko's had a huge reign over the heavyweight division, but they're saying, maybe the Charlos could do similar things at middleweight. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But those are some great fights over the weekend. And, I appreciate hearing your perspective there. But to touch more on, your story, obviously I was looking at your journey and kind of where it all started. Born in Chicago, but really raised in Grand Rapids. Obviously, there's a lot of boxers from the Midwest, but you're also Cuban, and obviously Cubans have huge boxing tradition. So I was curious as to growing up as a kid, what really pushed you into boxing? Was it people around you were involved in the sport? Was you part of your Cuban heritage? Obviously there's a rich boxing history there. What were some of the influences in you getting involved in the sport?
I was a bully. I was being bullied by a lot of kids as a kid. And I learned how to fight the bullies and gain the courage to fight bullies, and gave me some strength that I was able to do a lot of things. So once I learned that I was able to fight bullies and beat them up, then, kind of fell in my lap after that. I don't really have one person I can say, oh, it's this person. My brother, they like the sport of boxing. And, I don't think a lot of people had the guts to actually, start boxing like I did. But my brother played a factor. My mom played a factor. A friend named Rodney Joby played a factor. And once those guys got me started, Floyd Mayweather came to our school one time. We went to some of the same schools as when he was living in Grand Rapids. He went to alternative schools, and came to the alternative school I was going to as a middle school, and then he actually circled back around and came years later to a high school I was in. And, him telling the kids there that you can be whatever you want to be and it can happen and you can become a champion. I took that literally, and I felt like he was talking to me, and that's what I actually did.
So at what point did you start boxing? What age?
15 years old, 16 years old, but it wasn't like one of those kind of boxers that basically got a family member that brings you to the gym and, everything that I had to go to work for. Like when I got my first boxing shoes, I told my dad I wanted to buy them. He made me go do a job with him because he used to do a lot of carpentry, a lot of roofing. And he, I earned the money to get the boxing shoes, and I bought my first boxing shoes. But I don't really got a lot of people that really supported me, and within my family when I started boxing, nobody really. My mom didn't even sign my permission slip. I forwarded her signature, and I started boxing like that. But yeah. Within that, Dave Packer played a big inspiration. He was the president of the MGGA Michigan Golden Gloves Association. Me and him still got like a friendship. I want to do more for the kids there to give them opportunity, have a voice for them. But other than that, it's just the people just was always provided to me for whatever reason why I did, and I found out the reason later on in my career.
Yep, and you had a relatively brief amateur career, correct? Around 15 fights or so, and then you jumped into the pro ranks. So talk about how you went from amateur to making that move to New York City. to really get your pro career started? What was the deciding factor in that?
So to be honest, as a kid, you know, I got stopped as an amateur, you know, a couple fights, and that was a scary moment. But it was only because sometimes as a teenager, I lost my virginity at a young age. I'll be out there having sex with girls right before fights, and then I would be smoking marijuana. I would be drinking. I'd be doing everything like a grown man would do, but I was a teenager. So, you know, I guess, you know, fighting and taking boxing halfway serious wasn't something I was able to do. And then, you know, getting older, I started to come far away from boxing because I felt like it wasn't nothing I was able to accomplish there. You know, I fought a ringside national tournament in 2002, and I won 156 pounds, and that was a big inspiration to me to win a national tournament. I was actually novice, and you know, just taking those things and the accomplishment I got, and knowing that people knew me on the streets. I was more of a street figure, a street fighter. They know me as Pete Knockout King. Don't mess with him kind of guy. And I felt like I needed a change, and you know, I would start training with this guy named Rafael Ramos, and he basically you know, really was trying to mold me into a professional boxer. He told me that I had a lot of power, that he think I could make a good professional boxer. And he started training me. I like the way he trained because the encouragement, his willingness to come get me, go to work, and then come get me that right after work to go work on training. Sorry.
Oh, good.
And I basically just took it as something that I was, you know, was like a pastime. And I didn't think that, you know, boxing would be something I was able to do. But when he was like, he had an opportunity to move, he moved to Wisconsin first.
Yeah.
And that journey didn't end up good. So then I basically went back home, and then he's like, one in New York. You know, I signed a contract with Don King when I was 18 years old. He got me that. And I looked at that with something like an opportunity that was going to, you know, take me out of my circumstances of being in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and, you know, move to New York. He gave me the opportunity to move to New York. I always thought about living in New York, but I never knew what that meant. And basically moved to New York without my family, moved there to take a chance at a dream.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, your pro career, you had a ton of success, you know, after making that decision. But to kind of rewind back to, you know, what you originally said, you know, talking about, you know, some of your actions outside the ring leading up to fights, you know, whether it was alcohol, drugs, girls, whatever it may be. You know, I saw recently, a month or so ago, you did a really long fast, correct? And then you know, took the road back to where it all started in Grand Rapids, and you know, was finishing up some training there, and really as a way to cleanse your body, but also, you know, cleanse your soul, right? I mean, you've been on a path of really, you know, I see on your Instagram, it seems like you're, you know, a religious guy, and, you know, you're on that path of righteousness, really. So, you know, if you want to speak on, you know, kind of what that path has meant and how that relationship with God that you have has played into your fighting career.
Well, I'll tell you right now, we all have a perspective or idea about God in general. Now, the idea about God will separate us. That's what usually happens, that people become separated from each other because of ideas they have about God, or the God that's comfortable with the way they live in. And I felt like I had that. That was my tradition. I grew up, you know, with a Cuban father who's definitely a Catholic, and I'm not a Catholic. Espérate, porque yo espérate, porque yo hay un interview. He's trying to feed me.
All good.
Ahora, porque espérate, mentira. Yo cuando yo finito con eso, mira, yo él ahí. Yo no te quiero dar esto. I'm sorry. All right.
All right. No worries. What type of food is that? Is that good
know what it is.
food?
My dad is 82 years old, and he does this all the time. So what I was saying is, like, you know, my dad is from Cuba. My wife is Jewish. I've been with my wife for 10, 11 years, going on 11 years. And I've been through the worst with her. I put her through the most. And I'm the only one out of 9 kids to get married and have my kids with the same woman. You know, my dad got 4 different women. So religion, right? Religion is a belief in God, a system of faith, or ascribing oneself to a supreme importance. So my dad's supreme importance was cheating on my mom and taking me to other women's houses and everything like that. Then he's giving me a false religion. So everybody is religion, you know, or religious, may. So if you got your higher, you know, your importance is yourself, that's called pride. You know, I just know so much stuff. 40 days of fasting, not eating food for 40 days has taught me a lot about who I am as a
You did no food for 40 days.
For 40 days.
Just water, or
I did water, social water. I did tea, and I allowed myself to put kosher honey inside of my tea. And I juiced apples with cinnamon. That's it. I took some shots of ginger.
What was your experience with that? Like, obviously at times you must have been very, very hungry. Like, what was the
wasn't hungry. See, food is the biggest luxury. That's what I learned about this fast. That food is the only luxury of life that we have. After food, then it's cars, then it's like the girls you be with. So, but food is the first luxury you got, because I learned that majority of what I learned in the fast is that I actually was feeling like that as a kid. You know, when my dad went to prison, that's how it's like we was basically starving as kids. You know what I'm saying? That's what I found out when when me and my brothers was suffering, was going through. So it was like basically growing up again, and I guess I was called to fast because I was having marijuana issues. You know what I mean? And something came to me and said some things only can come out by fasting and prayer. And I took that literally. I felt like it was a calling for me to do it. And, you know, went from like a lot of ups and down roller coaster rides with emotions and stuff. And I said, I just not want to fast because of marijuana. I want to fast because of patience and anger. You know what I mean? I grew up with like an angry child. I found out why I'm basically was like, I slept with so many women in my life. I know why. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Because I had mommy issues. I had a very angry mother growing up. My mom was angry because of my father. My father wasn't in her life and just had a rough life. And, you know, my mom wouldn't even understand that she was pushing her pain on us, the kids. And, you know, we suffered from all those things. And, you know, it was hard for me to even respect women because I had issues with my mother. And I also got issues with my father. Like, my father cannot tell me how to be happy with a woman, one woman. And, you know, I had problems with, like, thinking, like, it was cool to cheat on women and women can forgive and forgive. I had all these false traditions that wasn't real, and I had to change it. And look, God has brought me through all the toughest storms. So I would tell you, more than even winning a world championship, though, the best thing I ever did was fast at those 40 days, and I plan on doing it every year.
Wow, that's pretty powerful stuff. And you know, I guess my follow-up question to that is, you know, recently Mike Tyson was asked kind of about his religious side in terms of, does he bring it into the ring? And he says, no, I keep them separate. I don't like, he has a switch in his head. When he gets into the ring, he becomes something else and he doesn't really like what it is. So he doesn't ask God for help. It was kind of an interesting answer, right? So he kind of separates both things. But with you, is that something that you have similarities to, or is it totally different? When you're entering the ring, you know, you feel like, you know, you have that spiritual connection kind of at all times.
When should we separate from God if we got that? And we got a separation between us and God. Why would you want to separate if God bring you the tranquility and the peace? So for me, no, I don't separate God. I know that I have a place. You know, when Jesus walked the earth, he walked as a carpenter. That's a regular job. You wouldn't even think, but it was a symbol to what he was for the man. He was a builder for us, and he was building the kingdom for us. But, you know, I guess people that separate, you know, I don't think you necessarily separate his religion. Like my religion, I don't separate because my belief is my religion, basically. And my religion is basically my steering wheel for my soul. And I would just tell a person, don't crash.
Wow. So, you know, with your pro career, to bounce back to our earlier discussion, you know, so you get through the amateur you say, all right, I'm going pro, I'm going to New York. At this point in your life, you know, the spiritual aspect that you talk to, or maybe your behavior outside the ring is not the best, right?
It was definitely not the best. It was like I was horrible. I was like, I learned a lot of bad examples from my pops. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was horrible. I got the gift of gab, and I found out when I was confident in myself, I found I can get girls. I could be in. I was in movie. I moved in New York very young. I turned 21 in New York. So when I got to be 21, before I was 21, I was in clubs. So it wasn't even that, you know, I didn't have the access. I had the access to a lot of evil things, and
Yep.
that access brought me a lot of heartache and pain. And throughout my career, I just had to get older and learn a little bit more about myself, and I found my identity. I didn't find my identity with the world. They wanted me to put. Now, listen, I come from nothing. When I say I was homeless, sleeping on dirty mattresses in the trap from the trash, that's real. You can't take that experience away from me. But when people do is when they see you get something like big in your life, they want to push who you are as a person. And throughout my life, I told myself I would never believe the hype. I wouldn't believe I wouldn't have an entourage. And as time went by, I noticed I had all the things that I didn't ever want. I couldn't say nothing. I couldn't say no. I couldn't, you know, I was always the enemy. And I would go behind the scenes to be a broken man. And they would look at me as this strong fighter, and I would look at me as a weak fighter, a weak person, because of all the stuff I was dealing with behind the scenes.
And is that how you even felt about yourself when you got your hands on the title?
I mean, the first day, to be honest with you, the very first day when I got my title and I won the title in the ring, and I gave hugs and everybody congratulated me and everything, the belt I felt that very day was taken from me.
Wow.
Would you know what that mean when I say that?
No, yeah, please explain. Yeah.
I would tell you, so like, I had my whole life telling myself I'm gonna be a world champion. I knew why I was fighting. I knew what was gonna happen. I knew the changes I wanted to make, right? And soon I won the world title when you start having people saying, I knew you can do it, right? Some of the people that say they knew I can do it, like my mom before I left Michigan told me I wasn't gonna never be SIT. Say the word. I never was gonna be what?
Go ahead. You can say it.
No,
There's
you
no censor on here.
I'm
Shit.
trying to stop swearing. You said it for me.
No, you're never going to be shit. That's what.
That's what she told me. I wasn't gonna never be that. So, and I told her one day I'm gonna buy you a house and I'm gonna be there for you instead of disowning you like I do, like you do me. I'm gonna be there for you, and I kept my word. So, basically, the whole act of like religion, I just wanted to make sure whatever I tell people, you know, throughout my life, wanted to never be a hypocrite at what I told people. So that was my biggest struggle. It's like never being a hypocrite and never allowing people to take away who I was as a person. And I'm making you yawn. That means I'm making you tired.
No, 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 not at all. I was actually just thinking about, you know, once you won that title, and you say, you know, it felt like it was taken from you, but then, you know, you defended that title. So like, where did you get that motivation to defend it? Because it's like, was that just off of, you know, what was in your mind at that time, or your heart at that time, to defend the belt?
I was learning about what kind of champion I was, learning about the reason why I finding motivation, encouragement, trying to tell myself why I was doing it. You know, why is this moment happening to me? I come in the game with 15 amateur fights and now I was the world champion. Like, what does that really mean? And you know, I used the opportunity to have the belt as a speaking opportunity for kids that. So I talked to a lot of kids, a lot of schools, and I felt like I wanted to do that job instead of thinking that I was supposed to be separated from ordinary people who maybe felt like I wasn't realistic enough to touch. And I think that's the most important part for me as being a world champion. That I was making myself too accessible to people. Even when people was like, you make yourself too accessible. And I felt like that's the reason why I didn't get to, you know, be the champ that people envisioned for me. Like I was supposed to be this type of champ. I wasn't supposed to be accessible to people and stuff. And I made myself too, but it's who I am. You can't take away from who I am by doing the things I thought was natural for me.
And, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, understand what you said about also, like, I just keep going back to that thought you said that you had when you won the belt, then you felt like it was taken from you.
You know, like
Was that?
everybody told me they knew I was going to be able to do it, or they started looking at me like I was God or this. I wasn't no longer Peter Quillin. I was there. I wasn't no longer their friend. I became, this is my friend, Peter Quillin, the world champion. I started hearing people say that more often. I moved to LA. And when I moved to LA, I moved to LA before that, and I started to learn that I was losing my soul over there. I started to begin to lose my moral compass, meaning like what I knew was wrong and what was right, and hanging
This is when you
around.
moved over with Freddie Roach, correct?
Yeah, I moved there. And I was kind of pushed to do that by my manager at that time, and I had to make the hardest thing about life, especially as being somebody that was in my shoes, is to you got to make the hardest decisions. Meaning you have to cut people out. You had to tell people no. I couldn't tell people no, so I was like just being told and being dragged and being pulled and going this way. And I would be behind the scenes crying sometimes to myself, you know, feeling like I used to love being around people, and I got to a point where I didn't want to be around nobody. I just wanted to stay to myself and not let people around and deal with people's bullcrap. And, you know, hearing girls, like the girls, as soon as I hear a girl remind me of my mom, I was, that's it. I'm done.
Wow. So, and you know, did that all kind of lead to the decision? I know, like when you took the fight to vacate the title, it was also obviously a big financial reason, right? And then
To vacate the title, my wife, you know, before I fought Gabriel Rosado, I tell this story all the time. People still don't understand it. I vacated the belt because when I was defending my belt with Gabriel Rosado, my wife lost my first kid she was pregnant with. And I didn't go back home. I didn't go check with her. I told her, actually, your mom, your dad there. My father's there. And what am I going to, especially your mom and your dad there, and you lost his baby, what am I going to do to come back over there to, what am I going to be able to come back there to do to fulfill with you, to be able to console you for losing the baby? It's nothing I might be able to do. I told her, God is trying to tell you something, and, you know, you got to find out your own answer. I can't come back. So I disowned her. And when I was fought, I seen a lot of stuff bad happen from me making the decision. It's kind of like you got to sow what you reap. You got to reap what you sow. So I put on bad energy on my wife. I wasn't there for her as a person. That's my partner. And, you know, playing a revelation, me making that decision to stay and not go back home and say, look, I got to move my camp. My baby died. I got to move my camp and go back to New York, you know, organize some stuff. I basically stayed in California and put a big strain on my relationship with my wife. And, you know, I told myself, you know, as coming into closure with doing that, so if I was ever having an opportunity to be able to pick my family over my business, I will. And fast forward, it came, I had my first son. He was just born within 3 days. Within 3 days, I was hearing negotiations right before when she was due. You know, negotiations started going into thing, and it was like Jay-Z, you know, offering this money. I think you about to do. I had people behind the scenes calling me saying this is what's about to happen, and, you know, I just felt like it wasn't really proper for me to say yeah to the money, especially at that time when I had my first kid. And let me tell you why, because everybody's like, when the news came out, it made big news, kind of like pressure on me that I had to make a decision. And I was getting calls, and I was talking to everybody outside of Jay-Z. Man, Jay-Z, I said, then why I haven't gotten on the phone with Jay-Z? So I would tell Jay, man, look, man, I just had my son. I want to take a couple of days. I don't want to fight on that day. You know what I'm saying? And they was pushing me to take the day. And all these people that's supposed to be my manager, my friends.
was that Rock Nation Boxing at the time? Were they representing you?
Rock Nation, they offered me a big, and I had to turn down the fight. I went to talk to, you know, my advisor, and I was like, yo, I don't want to say yeah to this fight. What's going to happen if I want to say no? He said, they're going to strip you, and, you know, I said, what else are the choices? Well, you can vacate, and that's say your dignity. So people thought he made the decision for me, or he made me do something. I said, no, I said no. I said no to the devil. I say no for what I thought was right. I said no to what I thought was moral. You know, to be there for my wife at a time with my kid, to come be a father at that time. I was new at doing it, so why not pick your family over money? And a lot of people will pick money over their family all the time, but I'm saying I'm okay with picking my family over money. People still don't understand that to this day. When me saying no to the devil, you know what right after happened? You know what happened to my career? My career started going like this for saying no. Because at that time I was going up, I was looking at the next best thing to fight and beat Triple G. When me saying no, my career went down. Right after that, I had my first draw in my career. Then I got criticized for fighting the person I fought to get a warm-up to fight Danny Jacobs. You know what I'm saying? And I took my first loss, and all of it came within a dream. I said no. I said no to the money because I came across the Bible. I said, maybe the Bible says something about money. And I went, and then you know what it says? What sense does it do for a man to gain the whole world, but he forfeit his soul? That right there said, okay, I can say no.
Wow. So that was really the turning point for you in terms of, you know, making that big change, obviously, in your life and becoming the man that you are today and, you know, still pursuing to be. So like, that's pretty incredible.
And I'm going to tell you what's even more incredible. Do you know I'm the only fighter that fought on Showtime that got a wife that has her own career? That's not even me. I'm not even needed in the house. You want to see? I can show you better than I can tell you. Tell me if you want to see it.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. There it is. Wow.
What is that? What is that?
That's an Emmy, right?
It's Emmy. My wife got 2 of these. Self-made.
She producer, correct?
My wife's a producer. 15 years, the longest person I ever known to have a job for such a long time. Not a job, not just over broke, but a career.
Right.
So, like when I make a partnership with somebody like that, it's like the influence is way different. So when they think I'm broke and I don't have my wife is self-made. I'm self-made. So when our partnership came together, like they think I'm broke and I don't got nothing. I'm saying, listen, what makes me rich? I'm rich with my family. I'm rich with my health. I'm rich with understanding about God. You know what I'm saying? And I own too much stuff to be broke.
Yep. So at this point, you know, in your life, you know, you've obviously in the last few years, you've made a huge change in who you are and, you know, you're continuing on this path. Obviously, I think the story of you at that 40-day fast is incredible. But moving forward, you know, is boxing next for you? Is it getting into training people or is your career still alive and well? Like what do you
training somebody? Like if I open up a gym, I like to I own a real estate business called Kid Chocolate Properties. 2016, I got Developer of the Year award with my partner Antoine Gooch. He started his own company called Gooch Development. I got a building there that I house vets, and I also just opened up and did a lease with somebody that's got to open up a salon in the middle of a pandemic, and it's a black woman that opened up the business. You know, I'm looking to start my trucking business, Quillin Transports. That's up and running. I just bought my first truck, and you know what else can I say?
That's awesome. So are you as far as your, you know, boxing career, does that look like, is that still rolling or are you looking to get involved in other?
I'm looking at my career coming to an end of the road, retiring. I had to come up with a nice plan and still being played out as far as what I want to do in partnership with somebody that's basically going to help me do the exit rollout and, you know, go into what God is going to call me to do now. I'm definitely a minister of God. I'm definitely, you know, looking to go back to school and get me a degree in biblical studies. You know, you don't have a lot of fighters that's basically retiring with anything or a legacy after. My legacy with God is already going to be fulfilled. And to me, it's like, you know, I already accomplished some of the biggest things in my career. And I believe, honestly, boxing wasn't able to, you know, hold all of my story. I got to be able to go out there and do other things and have people understand that the story is so big that I got to write a book one day.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, what's that?
Would you read the book?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think your story is incredibly, you know, inspiring, and it takes a lot of courage to do what you've done to really change your life around and now lead others is the biggest.
I mean, you got to tell me one thing. How many other fighters' wife got an Emmy award?
I can't name one.
How many other fighters you know wife even got a job or even got a career? That's not off the fighter. My wife is self-made without me.
Yep. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, you know, that's it's a talent rich household in the Quillin family. So,
My
you know,
kids are models. All of my kids are models. They make money.
that's awesome. That's awesome, man. Are they going to be involved in boxing at all, or you're steering them in other directions?
My son loves animals. Got him going to nature camp. He's real active. He's at the zoo right now. He has animals. He has a pet toucan. He has tarantulas. He has a bunch of animals. So
Tarantulas, I don't know. I'm not that excited about that, honestly. I'm a little scared.
So what I would just tell you is, like, I want my kids to be whatever they want to be. And my job is to be a father to them and give them the strength. But also leave my kids a legacy behind. And also leave one thing for my son. Would you know what I want to leave my son behind before I pass?
What's that?
A business, right? Some money they can mess up, and my ledger.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, it's you have an incredible story. So it's great to hear that you're getting involved in so many other things outside of boxing, and so many great things for the future. So I'm excited for you. But you know, before I let you go, I did want to talk a little bit about just kind of your thoughts on the middleweight division, obviously a division that you fought in. So I think it's a very interesting landscape among the champions right now with, you know, we have Canelo, Triple G, Boo Boo Andrade, and I'm forgetting one, and Charlo, of course. So, you know, with those guys at the top right now, you know, it's going to be very interesting. Hopefully those fights get made, but who do you think is the top dog out of those guys right now? Or who do you think is going to emerge? Charlo brothers?
I mean, they active, right? They got the light. Would you say they got the light?
They got they have a lot of, you know, they come to fight, I think, which is like the fans love it. They got personality. They got style.
Man.
Yeah, they're stars.
They're superstars of the sport. That's all it is. So you look at their Instagram, you follow them. It's hard to keep up with them because you know why? They got so much going on. So that's how you know a person is a star, by what they got going on.
Well, Charlo has been rumored to fight Boo Boo Andrade next. They're looking to make that matchup. I guess, like, what's your early impression of that fight, of how it would play out?
Let me tell you something. Boo Boo is my boy. Me and Boo Boo are friends.
And very underrated, correct? I mean, a lot of people don't talk about him.
But, you know, maybe it's his decision that he make in the ring, or make his outside the ring, his business decision and the partnerships he made. Maybe be the cause of that. But his story is going to be what his story is going to be. I don't ever like to put my 2 cents in those. I'm just a fan of the sport when it comes to seeing two black fighters fight and people that I consider friends. So may the best men win, and may their legacy live on forever.
That's awesome. Yeah, so the middleweight division, you know, it's alive and well. Obviously, there's some big names. I think the Charlos, like you said, are stars, so I can't wait to watch more of them. And excited for the fall boxing schedule. A lot of big fights coming up. But first of all, thank you so much for the time. I really enjoyed listening to your story. It's incredibly motivating to hear how you turned your life around, and now you're, you know, leading people in the right direction, which is the biggest thing. So if you want to give a shout out to where people can follow you on Instagram, I know you're very active on Instagram. If you want to let the people know.
Yo, follow me at Kid Chocolate on Instagram. Follow me at Kid Chocolate on Twitter. Get me at Peter Quillin on Facebook. I'm pretty active on the social media platform. But don't come on there spreading your disunity with people. I'm trying to unify the people and tell you that everybody matter. All souls matter to God. All under God is the most important unity that we can have. But outside of that, your ideas might be you know, taking you away from the purity of what God is trying to do as humanity. You know, it said the greatest among you shall be a servant. I'm a servant for everybody, and people I'm willing to wash your feet if I had to. There's one thing I want you to do. Tell me when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Just shake your head right now. I want to see something. Just shake your head. I want your hair. The other day, I didn't want to see your hair. Because I would never be able to do that.
Yeah, man. The quarantine's got me growing out my hair long. You know what I mean? I got no reason to have a haircut.
Grow your beard.
Yeah, I got to trim that. I don't want to get too grizzly. You know what I mean? But We'll see about the beard, but I appreciate it again. Everyone go check out this interview on YouTube at the Pod Matrix. Follow me at Brooklyn Boxing Podcast. Follow Peter. Check this out. This will be dropping real soon. Thanks again for the time.